What's good, everyone? Khan here. My student has been asking me to do videos regarding calculus concepts, mainly for derivatives and integral. So I'm going to go over several techniques for derivatives, as well as integrations for AP Calculus AB and AP Calculus BC mainly. And obviously, I'm not going to do all of this in one video because it will be a bit too long. And so I'm going to split up different techniques for different videos. And today we'll go over the first technique, which is fairly simple, novice technique really. This is the technique we're going to go over today. And this is the example, or a couple of examples we'll go over to make sure that we understand the concept well. As always, if you like the video, please subscribe and share with your friends. That will help me a lot. All right, happy learning.
So just like before, whenever I go over a new concept or I'm going over a concept, what I want to do is just make sure I want to point your attention to this reminder over here. Notice that whenever you take the derivative of a polynomial, in this case, all you need to do is note that k here is the constant and n here is the exponent or the power. So if f of x is this function equal to k x to the n, then to find the derivative or to derive this function, to find the slope function basically, then you need to drop the n. So basically n will drop. You multiply, if there is a coefficient k, that is a constant, you multiply by that k, and then you take 1 away from the original power of n. So now let's take a look at the simpler case where it is a linear function. And we know in this case the linear function will have a constant slope, as in the slope will not change since it is a linear function. Obviously, to find the derivative, it just means that you're trying to find the slope of that function. And know that whenever we have a linear, you can see that a linear, at any point on a linear, the slope is always the same. And we can test that by using the derivative rule and for a polynomial. And as you can see in this case, right, we know that the slope is 2. Based on the linear function here, the slope is 2. But let's see if that is true. So in this case, what I can do is, to make things a bit clearer for you guys, is I'm going to rewrite this function so that we can see a power. So obviously in this case, we can say that the power here is x to the power of 1. We do have a constant of 2. And that 2 in this case is the k. And the n in this case obviously is the 1. Plus 5x to the 0. And the reason we say it to the 0 is that any value to the 0 is 1, right? Except for 0. Obviously 0 to the power of 0 is an indeterminate form. But in this case, that's why we get 5, because x to the power of 0 is 1. So 1 times 5 is 5. So now to take the derivative of this, which is find the f prime of x, what we need to do is, again, we need to drop that 1 power, okay, just like the reminder over there. So we would have 1 times 2. We take the power, the original power of 1, we subtract it by 1. And then, so we're done with that part. So then we go 5, and we're going to drop the 0 and multiply it by 5. Then we go x, 0 minus 1. So then we can simplify this to say that this will become 2 times x to the 0 plus 0 times 5 is 0, so it doesn't really matter what this is. It's just going to be 0. So my slope in this case, or f prime of x, and again, f prime of x just means the slope function. So in this case, the slope function is 2, which to show that it does match the slope of 2 for a linear function, which we can see that is the 2 is right before the x, that is our slope. And we verify that the slope function is 2 which means that it is going to be a slope of 2 everywhere on that function. Now that is a bit different than when you have a function in this case, where it is not a linear, it's a polynomial, right? And in this case, we can follow the same rule to find f prime of x. It's no different. So then we drop the 4, so it will be 4 times 3 over 4, which is just a constant, x to the power 4 minus 1, plus we drop the 2 and we multiply by 5, and then we take the 2, we subtract 1. Here, remember that x like this means x to the power of 1. So then we go 1 times 7, x to the power of 1 minus 1. And then here would mean that it's x to the 0. So remember, any constant will just multiply by 0, so we'll get 0 anyway. So to simplify this, we'll get f prime of x would equal to, here the 4 would cancel with the 4, so we'll get 3. X to the power of 4 minus 1 is 3, plus 2 times 5 is 10, x to the power of 1, because 2 minus 1 is 1, but we're just going to write x, plus here it will just become a constant because 1 minus 1 is 0, so x to the 0 is 1, 1 times 7 is just 7, and then you're adding 0, so I'm not going to write that. But basically that is the function. If you plug in x equal 1, for example, it will then yield you, in this case, 20, which just means that at the point x equal to 1, the slope for this polynomial is 20. Okay? Hopefully that was clear. Any question, feel free to post comment and I will answer directly. If you feel like this video is helpful, feel free to share it to your friends, and please subscribe. It would be very helpful for me.